DevBlog 528, changes to aircraft carriers and AA, closed test. We have talked about a few different DevBlog concept tests and stuff before. This is another one, although I would dare say that this one has had much more hype. Being announced, I think, back in December of last year, having an update earlier, I think, in February, and now it's actually announced because there will be a test on April 16th, which is tomorrow. So it's a common. So we're going to go through this because there are some folks that have some questions. It does actually kind of go over a lot of material. And while I can't dive into all the super specifics because as a concept test, it doesn't really have specifics yet. I can at least try to make sense of what's in the DevBlog for folks that kind of read it and were just like, it's just not clicking. So, changes to aircraft carriers and AA, closed test. Greetings, captains. Back in December, we announced our plans to implement significant changes to aircraft carriers. We hope you're ready for more news because we've got a boatload of info to share. As a reminder, we'll be conducting our first major closed test on April 16th to try out these updates, so certain details can and will change as we move through the testing process. With that out of the way, let's get down to business. You like the announcer voice? Was that fun? Changes to aircraft carriers. First, some key details. As announced previously, the core of the new concept boils down to significantly changing the way that carrier aircraft? Yes, that the aircraft of the carrier operate while traveling and attacking. So, traveling. I'm going to go ahead and say right now that in my head, I don't think of this as high altitude. I think of this as cloud cover. So you're going to hear me use probably that term a lot. Note, that's not what's mentioned in the DevBlog. That's what I'm personally mentioning because, again, that's how I see it in my head. But just getting that out the way. Similar to the current implementation, traveling, also now known as high altitude, is the state at which the aircraft will spend the most time in as they traverse the map. Basically, they're going to be flying to and from the carrier to the enemy. What will be different? While traveling, aircraft will not spot enemy ships. Asterisk. Will not be targetable by regular AA fire. Asterisk. Point that out. Will not deplete their boost. So I just want to go ahead and harp on this. I want to be really direct with this. So will not deplete their boost. The first time that we talked about this like months ago, people were like, wait, what? When something's at high altitude, it's going to go Mach 20? It's going to go 17 million knots per hour? No. It means that if you look at this, if you look at the Hellcat, it says maximum speed 205 knots. If you look into it in greater detail, it says speed 164, maximum speed 205. So when you're using boost to go as fast as possible, you can go 205 knots. So at this higher altitude, when their planes are above cloud cover, they'd be able to step on the gas and go at maximum speed without draining the boost meters. They would be able to constantly move or travel at that faster speed. So if we look at the torpedo planes, they go a whopping 159 knots when you're full on to the boost. So, I mean, it's a hell of a lot faster than not having it, but it's not going a million knots per hour. Just some context on that. And then obviously, I'm going to be saying this multiple times. It's a concept test. So as a concept test, all of this is not something which is pre-balanced. When you do a concept test, you're thinking, how can I make things different, change things for the better, etc. You're going to tweak some knobs, you're going to fudge some numbers, you're going to do some code, whatever, so that you can make the test happen. And then when you run the test, you go, okay, yes, I absolutely see that this has a way forward. Let's dial in on that. Then you start making art. Then you start refining the coding. Then you start doing balancing. Okay, well, maybe is 3 planes too many? Is 4 planes what's needed now? Or whatever, and you figure all that crap out. So, for instance, I've seen a lot of people going, Nakamov gets a huge buff. I'm going to be honest, if this stuff goes through, there's probably going to be some underlying balance changes in terms of how carriers interact with other stuff. So, my assumption is that Russian CVs may be interacted with. That is an assumption, though. I'm not on the team that's working on this. But anyway, can be spotted by enemy ships. So the planes will be detectable by surface ships. They can see, hey, there's planes up there. But Again, so let me do this. Let me do the draw. Because I'm a known drawer. Right? Should do something like that. Because then I can boop. No, boop. Whatever. There. It's less aggressively. Yeah. Alright, we're gonna get some clouds. Shh, whatever. Here's some cloud cover. Look, there's clouds and stuff. Cool beans. I feel like I've rambled so much I should probably just restart. But anyway, so you got cloud cover. Alright, so if you've got planes that are up here doing the thing, because of the cloud cover, they're not going to be able to see down. So the surface ships on the water, they're not going to be able to see down. But the surface ships on the water might be able to glimpse them between clouds here and there, so to speak. That being said, cannot attack enemy ships or drop enemy ordnance in any way, and will not be targetable by regular AA fire. So while the planes are all the way up here, they're not going to be able to attack the ship below. While the planes are all the way up here, the ship is not going to be able to lock on and throw shells at them. They're not going to be able to, you know, daka up through the clouds trying to hit the planes. Is it realistic? No, not necessarily. Somebody pointed out that ships of that era had radar guided this and other capability that, and that they would absolutely be able to do this. Well, if we look, exceptions do apply. See the section defensive AA fire. And I'm going to go ahead and just throw this one out. DFAA allows you to penetrate cloud cover. So as a surface ship, if you really wanted to have an interaction with the plane, and the plane is close enough, they're in your AA window. If you kick on defensive fire, you're going to be able to pen cloud cover and rip into them while they're up in the sky. The reason why there's an asterisk on will not spot enemy ships is, if you are dealing damage to the planes, then you will be revealing yourself. You will be spotting yourself. Much like when a surface ship takes a shot, if there's a line of sight to an enemy, they'll be able to see you because you took a shot. You're going to flare your detection out. Similar thing. If you're going to start interacting with the planes, you're going to flare your detection out. You're going to get spotted. I probably should redo this. I might end up going through this twice just so that the second time I can go through it at a better clip. This means that aircraft carriers must rely on spotting from teammates in order to identify targets. Carrier squadrons will also have access to a new consumable called active reconnaissance. While active, the consumable will provide an indicator if or when aircraft are in range of enemy AA, similar to a spotted indicator. So priority target will tell you, it'll give you a little like indicator or whatever, you know, 3 people are looking at you. And back before the commander skill rework, CVs could pick priority target. You would see how many ships were in AA range of you. 2 ships, 3 ships, 4 ships, whatever. And this sounds very similar to that. So if the planes are here, and you have, and you've got a little boat here, and you got another boat here, whatever, and they did active reconnaissance, these planes may not be able to see, may not be able to see what's going on. So rather than just be like, you know, you only live once, YOLO, just going underneath the cloud cover and getting murdered by, you know, stuff all around, etc., you can do an active reconnaissance check. Basically, you're going to get an understanding of how many are beneath you, and if the AA range on this, you're in the AA range, you're in AA range of this, you're in AA range of this, then it would show you your 3 things are in AA range of you, is basically how I read this. However, note, the consumable will not provide actual spotting or minimap indicators and will not work if the enemy ship has its AA turned off. So there's stealth mode, meaning the surface ships are going to be able to see the planes overhead. They're going to be able to see the planes. If this ship is running sneaky and this ship is running sneaky and both of them have their AA turned off, then this ship might active reconnaissance and only end up catching 1, because these 2 having their AA off are not going to get picked up. So it goes, okay, cool, I'm going to go after this or whatever, and goes down in the clouds. Maybe this guy's spotted by some teammates, and then suddenly there are ships here, and those ships light off their AA. And now you have an ambush where you've got 2 ships firing at the planes, as well as the target that maybe was like, I'm going after the dude. So that could be super interesting. Let me change this to transparent. Yep. Attack runs. We've talked about traveling. How do you actually interact with the enemy ships now? Similar to the current implementation, aircraft carriers must start an attack run. While conducting an attack run, aircraft will spot enemy ships, become targetable by AA fire, take significantly reduced damage from AA for the first few seconds of the attack run, will deplete their boost as usual, can attack enemy ships. So we can go through what that looks like real quick. So this guy will use the example that we just did. Hits active reconnaissance. This ship is already lit by teammates. Boop. You know, there's a little detecty thing over there. They're spotted by by friendlies or something. So the plane's active reconnaissance. They don't see, this is probably okay. I think I can go in on this run. And they're going to start descending from cloud cover. While descending from cloud cover, they'll take significantly reduced damage from AA for the first few seconds of the attack run. Why? Because they're descending from cloud cover. They're going through a transition. So instead of just like, surprise, motherfucker, then you just get wrecked, there's a little bit of a buffer window there. However, there is a little point in here that's probably worth reading. Compared to the current implementation, there are some additional key differences. Prep time for attack runs has been increased. This is super important. To prevent them from simply starting an attack run directly above a ship. Lol, no AA. Lol, no AA. Bop. You know, it would be shotgunning in reverse. So right now, you would tend to start an attack run about 3.5 clicks out to then go in and strike. So you would probably be starting an attack run much further out. I'm just making up a number here saying 6 to 8 kilometers out. Could be different, whatever. But it means that you would start an attack run and then you would go through, the width of the AA to get to your target to have that interaction. You're going to have a much longer window. You don't just lol, pop. Planes will, however, not have reduced maneuverability during attack prep time. So prep time is the yellow phase. You left click, you start your attack run, you're in yellow. While things are kind of like the animation is happening, your planes are separating, the aim is starting, etc. Yellow. And it's yellow for a little while, and then it's green. Gun's hot, you can left click again, you can shoot. And when it goes green, you're going to have a different interaction in terms of, how much of a penalty you'll have to your aiming if you turn left or right, which is already something that happens in the game now. But it mentions you won't have reduced maneuverability during your attack prep time, which makes perfect sense because you'd be starting the prep all the way out here. So you may have to juke some flak, and then you start going into terminal attack run where it's green when you're closer and you actually go through. So currently, you might start an attack at about 3.5 kilometers and then go green about 2 clicks out. In this case, maybe you end up going green about 2 to 3 clicks out, but you start your attack maybe 6 or 7 kilometers out, at a distance that's going to carry you through AA. Additionally, attack runs will only consist of one attacking flight, while the rest of the squadron will remain at high altitude and will not receive AA fire. More on this later. So, what does this mean? You can copy, paste, paste, paste. Cool, we'll do something like that. Look like UFOs. So, when you start your attack run, one of them is going to go down while the other two continue on doing their thing. So, while the one of them is on attack, it mentions here, while the rest of the squadron remain at high altitude, will not receive AA fire. AA only strikes cloud cover and below. So these would not be under AA threat. The AA of these ships would be focused on the planes that they can interact with, which would be the attack run. Also important to note, these planes, so in this case, traditionally this might be like a 9x9 or a 3x3 squadron where there's a squadron of 9 planes that go in at 3 planes per attack. So 3 of them drop below cloud cover, meaning there are 3 of them that are exposed to AA. Meaning that if you shoot down 1 plane or 2 planes, then only the remainder of what's there is going to get through to attack. So the AA is not working on the planes that are not involved in the attack. The AA is focusing on the planes that are involved on the attack. Meaning every plane you shoot down that's coming in on that attack run lessens the incoming damage. The immediate response from a lot of people is, lol, that's already exists for Russian CVs and they're broken. Sure, I understand the whatever, but this is a concept test. This is the way that it's working. So If this breaks from the squadron to come down and do a thing, then it's going to be focused and potentially fully destroyed before it's able to get to a ship. So if there's a little bit of a surprise motherfucker kind of ambush going on, it may actually just get popped. In which case, the attack didn't go through. Alright, so let's continue. Any planes that are destroyed in the attack run will not be replaced. So there was a point. I don't think it's been seen in a long time, but like shortly after the 9.0, when these planes were coming down, the attack run planes, if one of them got popped, another plane would come down from above and join up and replace the plane that got popped, or the two planes that got popped. So effectively, these other planes would act as armor, so that this main strike could get through. And that's literally saying that that is not the case. If you shoot down planes that are on the attack run, they stay shot down up to it, including if the entire attack flight is destroyed, the run is aborted. So your AA is directly defending you, which has been a request for a long time. Secondaries. While not controlling aircraft, carriers will now be able to manually control their secondary battery. In the case of carriers with mixed secondary armaments, they'll be able to control the biggest guns. They'll become the main caliber guns for purposes of player using them. While operating aircraft, all guns will be armed and fired automatically as usual. So if you're operating aircraft carrier, or if you're operating aircraft, the guns are going to work the way that they've worked before. They will work like secondaries, act like secondaries, do secondary sort of stuff. If you are on the hull, you will have access to be able to shoot them like main caliber guns. So that's basically what that is. The reason for this is if you have an enemy ship that is tailing you, I guess I don't have a lot of options here, but if you have an enemy ship that's tailing you, and you're here, whatever, doing the thing, an enemy ship is out here coming after you, you could fly over, but you may not be able to spot him. So in that case, how are you going to be able to deal damage to him? You might not be able to. So if this is a cruiser that's spotted, if this is a battleship that's spotted, you could lift off with your planes and you could do the thing. If it's spotted, you could also shoot pew pew with your guns and just shoot them in the face. Granted, CVs are not, they're not well armored, they're not well armed, so it's not going to be something that you'll be striving for, although there will likely end up being people, or there would likely end up being people that would hop in a Graf Zeppelin so they could just go in and start, just shooting people in the face. Which, that'll be a fun ball of cats, I guess. But there are people that did that anyway, where they would be in a division, it'd be like a smoke destroyer or something, and they would smoke the Graf Zeppelin in, and the secondaries would murder everything. But in this case, instead of secondaries doing it, you'd be main caliber pew-pewing it. Changes to surface ships. Okay, so those are the key changes for how aircraft carriers will operate. What about the surface ships? We also have some substantial changes coming to the way that surface ships interact with aircraft through anti-air batteries. First up, defensive AA fire. We mentioned earlier that aircraft in travel mode will be untargetable by AA. Here's the exception. While defensive AA fire is active, your AA batteries will be able to target enemy planes even while they're flying over you at high altitude. However, while active, planes at high altitude which are under fire will be able to spot you in return. With these changes, we're also renaming this consumable to barrage fire. Barrage fire? So, I tend to think of a Holland that likes to ambush. So if Holland is over here looking to do an ambush, saved. Woo. If the Holland is over here looking to do an ambush, as the planes are going over, eventually they get within, say, the 4 kilometers, the 4 clicks of range from the Holland, and the Holland opens up with defensive AA. So here's the Holland, pew, 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 shooting death lasers, whatever, into the sky. Now that means the Holland is going to be choosing to get spotted, because he's now having this damage interaction with the planes above. So might get shot at, might take damage, might have to do some jukes. Maybe the Holland is already in a position that's fairly safe, where they've got an island that's blocking them off. And they feel comfortable enough being back here to where when the planes come overhead, going after critically wounded ship in the back or high priority target, whatever, that they can open up and they can start ripping into him. It's worth remembering, because I've already seen some feedback on this. Wait a minute, so you're spotting yourself, so all you're doing is screwing yourself. If you feel that your AA is going to be impactful enough to turn it on and do the thing, well then turn it on and do the thing. If you feel that your AA is not worth spotting yourself to do the thing, then don't do the thing. This is a game about decision making. You're not always going to make the right decision, but ideally, you're thinking through your decision-making process so that you're trying to make the right decision. So, but if you wanted to take some shots up there, you can. Also, there is an interaction with this passive increase to AA that does sort of factor into that. So I'm going to talk about that a little more later. Priority sector. Priority sector is receiving some major changes and will be renamed Active Concealment. I kind of like Suppressive Fire as a name, but whatever. Active Concealment. Similar to the current priority sector, Active Concealment can be activated with the press of a button and takes effect within your anti-air range. So looking over here, we have, let's use our main ship that we're, talking about, whatever. It's a good color. Let's say that this is the AA range of the main ship. So technically, these guys are outside of AA range right now. But here's the AA range of said main ship. And other ships would have the same. All right, we'll continue on. When activated, it will instantly deal a certain percentage of the squad's health and damage. This is a thing that already exists in priority sector right now. So there's nothing really new there. But it will deal this percentage when it enters the AA fire. So it takes effect within the anti-air range, and it will deal a percentage when it enters the AA fire. So there's a big difference there. It means that right now, let me go ahead and do this. Whatever. There you go. You can see, like, the zone, right? Whatever. So right now, planes would want to enter into the zone before you use priority sector, so that you use priority sector when they're in the zone, dealing the instantaneous damage to them. In this case, you would use, and I want to go ahead and say this, ideally the planes would be down here. I don't think this has an interaction with cloud cover. I'm just trying to give you a basic understanding about the in and out, or maybe I'll just do this. So, all right, so in this case, the planes that are attacking, you would tend currently to wait until they're in the zone to proc the thing to deal the instant damage, buff your AA. In this case, you would see the planes are coming, you would activate active concealment, and then while active concealment is active, meaning that there's like an active window, the planes, they cross the threshold, they get blinded. They become unable to spot. So they will take damage when they enter the AA fire. Additionally, they'll cause enemy aircraft within range to be unable to spot. So let's go through the length of this. So the planes are coming in, they're dooting the doot. They come over, they active reconnaissance. Sneaky boy, both have their AA turned off. This guy's spotted, so we know we're going to go after him, sure. Okay, making the move. Coming down with an attack squadron, they're going to come through the cloud cover. So they'll have a small window of not immunity, but a reduction of damage there. At which point, as soon as these things are coming down, let me push this a little further so it's below the clouds. As soon as these things are coming down, these guys are going to start warming up their AA. They're going to turn it on so that they can start hammering this dude, whatever, because they were all in sneak mode before, whatever. And this guy's coming in. And this dude, I'm ready, This guy's coming for him. He knows it's happening. He's going to turn on active concealment. And that active window lasts long enough that when this guy crosses the threshold, bop, he's going to take some percentage health damage. And it's going to become unable to spot, which means this plane not going to be able to spot this ship on its own. Good news, it's already spotted by teammates, so the CV doesn't have to spot it on its own. So it's okay, and they can continue to do the thing, play the game, whatever, and they'll be able to go through and try to finish the strike. However, if whatever surface ship is spotting this ends up losing that visibility while the planes are coming in, this thing would disappear, and you'd be taking a blind shot. I don't know if you would continue to see the AA tracers. You probably would. So, I mean, you could try to approximate off of the AA tracers, I suppose, if that's even the case. But the ability to knock out the planes, one, and the ability of they're coming in on an attack run and you might be able to shoot them down. But two, being able to knock out their vision, assuming there's no team assistance in spotting the ships, means that you can guarantee, or damn near guarantee, the safety of your ship through active response play. You see what's going on, you identify the situation, you turn on your active concealment, and it crosses the threshold, loses the ability to see, or maybe one of your teammates is able to knock out the ability for it to see, in which case it's not going to be able to have a damage interaction outside of a guess. That's a pretty big change. That is not insignificant. The effect will also negate the damage reduction that planes receive in the first seconds of their attack run. Okay, so what does that mean? So if we go back to this step, can we just back up? There we go. I'll cheat and use the backup command. So if we go back to this step, all right, we're committing to the attack. We're going in. And while he comes through this cloud cover, he's got this initial few seconds of damage reduction, right? But almost immediately, this dude here triggers active concealment as the planes are coming through the clouds. Bop. He gets nailed, and that damage reduction goes away. It's gone. Because he's having an interaction here where a player is using their ability to interact with the planes. That little damage reduction is gone. So this is more to allow you to get from point A to point B without being startled, or at least less startled than otherwise. But if you had somebody that was able to surprise motherfucker moment you might absolutely get startled, lose that little damage resistance while you're getting your bearings on stuff, and then you're already getting hammered. So that caters to an ambush playstyle, which is cool. I actually think ambushing is undervalued in World of Warships. Sorry, ambushing planes is undervalued. However, it is important to note that you should use this preemptively and not reactively, as the effect will only trigger on enemy planes if they enter your AA while the effect is active. If the planes are already in the AA zone and the effect is activated, it will not block their ability to spot, will not negate the AA damage interaction, will not apply the percentage damage to the squadron, so good timing will be critical in using this ability. I believe that means that this ship down here would actually have to have active concealment triggered before the planes come down to make an attack. So basically, if this ship is kind of lying in wait, recognizes that the CV is coming in on this spotted vessel, wants to protect it, whatever, then this ship would preemptively, in this example, whatever, would preemptively kicked on their active concealment. So as this dude breaks cloud cover, he breaks cloud cover directly into an active concealment, which is going to hit him, tear off the damage reduction, and automatically just blind him. In which case, ow. The good news is, if this guy is spotted, he's still going to be able to see the target that he's coming after. But in terms of his ability to spot, if this ship was not spotted, it wouldn't be spotted. If this ship is not spotted, it wouldn't be spotted, because the plane itself, losing its ability to spot, is not going to be able to relay the information on these guys. There's, a lot of folks or whatever talking on the subreddit about how, like, lol, why don't you just do minimap spotting? This is more powerful than minimap spotting. Minimap spotting would mean that as soon as this dude comes down, not only does this dude see this ship, this ship, this ship, can continue to see this ship the whole way through because the CV would be able to self-spot. It also means that this information would be relayed to teammates as well, albeit on the minimap, versus being able to remove the ability for the ship to spot, meaning that these guys aren't spotted at all. And if that literally happens during this transition window where these planes are entering active concealment, they may never even be able to see these ships to be able to place them on the minimap at all, because they're entering into a blind. That's pretty damn potent. Okay. Passive increase to AA. We're not done just yet. All surface ships will receive a new passive way to deal with enemy planes targeting you while there are planes in your AA zone. Passive increase is a meter that will charge up while your AA is shooting enemy aircraft. Your process is not time limited, meaning that even if your AA does not shoot down enemy aircraft for a certain period of time, your progress will stay and not decay. Once your progress reaches 100%, the passive increase will be automatically activated and you will receive the following perks. You will have bonus to AA damage, a bonus to damage caused by active concealment, that instantaneous damage, and a reduction in the active concealment cooldown. Worth thinking on. So it mentions up here in priority sector, not reactively. The effect will only trigger on enemy planes that enter your AA while the thing is active. So if the planes are already in the AA zone, the effect is activated, will not be able to block their ability to spot, won't block damage reduction, won't apply the percentage damage. If you were perhaps on the outside of this interaction, maybe you were at this ship, you were able to like pop the planes as they're coming in one way and then maybe pop the planes again as they're coming out. You might be able to get multiple interactions if you had a low cooldown. Although I think that would probably be hard to make work. Anyway, but what does this do? Okay, so who's heard of a YouTuber that has had an interaction with a CV that felt like, oh my god, this guy's just on me. He's on me all game. Jesus Christ, go away. Can't you just like deal with somebody else? Stop griefing me, bro. Like whatever. So if the CVs are coming after a single ship over and over and over, and their AA is, constantly going, then that AA is going up, boop. Fully charged, and it's going to get bonus damage. It's going to have a more aggressive active concealment cooldown. It's going to deal more damage from the active concealment instantaneous damage threshold, etc. So basically, if the CV is going to go after you and is going to constantly have damage interactions with you, eventually your I'm done with this bullshit meter is going to charge to the point where you're going to just be more aggressive, or your ship is going to be more aggressive and anti-plane about it. The reason for this is to encourage the CVs to do something else, to go attack somebody else, be active somewhere else on the map, instead of just hounding somebody for an extended period of time. So I'm actually going to go back a step. The DFAA stuff. So Holland over here likes to ambush planes. So the Holland is going to use DFAA when the planes come over, deal damage and stuff, because it's fun. But the Holland is spotting himself. So there are some people that will rightly say, wait, if I spot myself, I might get shot. I might lose health. I might be giving away my position. I might be losing all of this stuff that I have that's cool just so I can deal some damage to some planes. Yes. But your AA firing is also going to be charging the magical meter thing until eventually it's doot. I'm done with this bullshit. And then you go into your final form or whatever. You're going to get bonuses to this variety of stuff. So not only are you able to deal with some stuff in terms of ambushing from point A to point A or point A to point B, eventually you could actually activate a buffed version of what you're able to deal, which makes you even more aggressive in your ability to ambush or your ability to protect other ships. Now, obviously, that's going to be on your positioning. So it might not be, in this case, that the CV is per se hounding you. It could be that you're actively cock-blocking the CV and you're charging up your meter to be more aggressive in terms of your anti-CV capability. So can go multiple ways, which I think is actually kind of neat. Additionally, this passive increase will not reset if you disable your AA, so it will stay, and will last for several minutes. So if this Holland, in this theoretical example, triggers their AA form, they're going to have AA form for several minutes, which means they can more aggressively screen, or more aggressively than they already were, screen areas. Now again, they would need defensive fire to be able to penetrate cloud cover, so Holland doesn't have infinite defensive fires, but still, it's something that's notable and potentially pretty damn useful. We decided to go with an automatic activation of this feature due to the extended length of the action time, as it's supposed to serve as a defensive tool. The effects of this passive mechanic should strongly disincentivize aircraft carriers from relentlessly focusing a single target. We've already introduced several other active changes for players, and we want to avoid a scenario where, for example, all players in an attack path activate this simultaneously and almost instantly destroy the attack flight, as it's supposed to serve only to disincentivize constant attacks from the aircraft carrier over longer periods of time, not as a general deterrent. So what does that mean? I've already had a few people saying, basically, we're trying to avoid a clump of people vaporizing planes, and I guess the player reaction to that was, "You don't want us to group to kill planes? Why are you helping CVs wargaming?" Like, I don't know if you've read this devblog. This devblog is a pretty considerable nerf. What it means is, if you are an isolated ship, if you're a solo ship, or maybe it's just you and one other ship, whatever, and you're kind of like doing your thing, and the CV is constantly trying to pressure you, pressure your flank, pressure this area, that basically I'm sick of dealing with this shit meter is eventually going to peg, and it's going to more aggressively protect you and your position, you and your ship. Now, you might have the Holland interaction where you have somebody who's really trying to build that meter and bait out those interactions by goalkeeping, basically. And if so, that's going to be a playstyle that they try to do. But there's nothing in this devblog which says players can't group up to overlap their AA, or that we don't have an expectation that they might group up to overlap their AA. There's absolutely the possibility that you'll have 1, 2, 3 ships. I should make this thicker. 1, 2, 3 ships in coordination, making a push. And if all of these are spotted because they're actively shooting at your teammates and they're actively spotted whatever, a CV can go over and attack them. All of this blinding, spotting stuff doesn't matter because they're literally spotted anyway. So having ships that are grouped up to be able to overlap their AA is going to be protective. They're going to overlap their AA. There's nothing wrong with that. But having somebody that feels like they're isolated off in the middle of wherever and they're just getting dogged, then theoretically this one's going to be able to make it a little more comfortable if they're going after you, give a little more overtime. So that's all for now. We hope you're excited as we are to see these changes, and I generally am excited after testing and look forward to updating you as we continue to work on and test the concept.